Hello and welcome back to another video. As you can see, I'm wet. And that's because I was out working on my house and it started pouring down rain all of a sudden. And I thought, I really want to do nothing more than go and sit down on the couch. And instead I thought, you know what, while I wait for the storm to pass, because I'm going to go back to working on my house, I thought, I got stuff to do. I need to go out and shoot some videos because I'm getting behind on that. So I decided to come out and shoot some videos. Now, I would encourage you guys to do the same thing. I know it sounds a little funny when I say this, but the thing is we're all going to be going through storms, and I don't know what you got going on in your life, what kind of storms you're going through. Some of you may be going through horrible atrocities. Some of you may be going through horrible storms. And most of the time when we're going through a storm, we just want to sit down and wait it out. We want to bunker in some sort of storm cellar and just wait it out. That's our natural instinct. And what I would encourage you to do instead is whatever you have going on in your life, instead of just waiting for the storm to pass, the storm's going to be there, right? You can't change that most of the time. So no matter what kind of storm you're going through, just keep making your life better. Use that time when you feel like sitting around and not doing anything. Better your life. Keep working on these courses. Keep learning. Keep making yourself better, because when the storm passes, you're going to come out the other side better off than you went in the storm. And next time it's going to be a little bit easier to weather that storm. The only other thing I would say about that is some storms don't pass. And if you're in a situation where the storm just isn't going to pass, you might have to leave the storm. So don't stay in a bad situation if you can help it. Do whatever you have to do to get yourself to a better place. And never give up. Never ever give up. Alright, with that said, I'm going to stop jabbering my jaw and we are going to talk a little bit about security, and we're going to solve one of the security issues that we can come across with form submissions. So let me go ahead now and share my screen. And I want to make sure that my server is up and running. So I'm here in terminal and I'm just going to type sudo opt lamp examp start, and it says that mine is already running. So get yours up and running, and then I'm going to switch over here to the form, and let's talk a little bit about forms. Now, we put first name here, we put password here, email here, and we can't assume that somebody's only going to put their first name in these fields. People might put all sort of horrible things in these fields that could break your site or steal data or both. And so we need to try to be careful about what we allow in here. So I'm going to just do a small exercise just to kind of show you something here. And what I'm going to do is in the register.php, you don't have to type this out, but I'm going to type a few things out here, and I want you to just kind of watch what can happen here. So right up here in the top of my form, we're going to have a part here that checks if there is a post, meaning did they post something to the form. And if it is, we're going to process that form, okay? We're going to be doing that in our own file. And basically what we need to be able to do is, let's see. For now, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to print to the screen the first name. So what we'll do is if post, we're going to say echo, and then we're going to print $_post, and then we called it first name. I'm not going to do all these fields, but let's just say first name here. And then what's going to happen here is if I go here and I type Curtis and hit register, it just echoes that Curtis to the screen. Now, this isn't probably what you're going to do with your form, I understand, but I just want to use this as an example. So let's say instead of someone putting their first name there, let's say they put some JavaScript tags here, like this. And let's just do something that's not crazy. Let's just alert. Oops, now you're in trouble. And we'll hit register. And now you see what happens. I hit register and look what happens. It popped up a JavaScript alert. And the reason this happened is because I'm just echoing whatever they type into that. Now I would be putting this into the database and later echoing like, hello Curtis, like somewhere. And what the problem is if I allow people to put JavaScript or just other things in those fields, they can run whatever they want. Now we just did a window alert, which isn't going to break anything, but they could steal cookies. They, like login cookies, they could steal information. They could put an iframe in there that just popped up a porn site or something like that. And so then it would be a full screen iframe with a porn site. So every time someone went to your site, it would be a porn site instead. So they could do all sorts of things. So what we need to do is stop them from being able to put things like this in the fields. Okay. So what we're going to do is create a function that we can easily use to stop that. Okay, so now I do want you to follow along. So I'm going to go to the functions.php file, and what we're going to do is create a function that we're going to run all of our inputs through, and we're going to call that function Sanitize. Okay, now you can call this whatever you want, but we're going to pass in a dirty value as a parameter. And then what we're going to do is we're just going to do a couple things. One thing we're going to do is let me write this out a little bit like this. We'll say clean and then equals, and then we have something built into PHP called PHP or HTML entities. That's a function, HTML entities. And then the first parameter that you pass in, now this is built into PHP, so I didn't make up this HTML entities, okay? So you can look that up on php.net. But the first parameter it takes is the value that you want to run through HTML entities. So we're going to pass our dirty value into it. And then we're going to tell it what we want to do with it. Well, what we want to do here is all caps. We're going to do ent underscore quotes, int quotes. Now what int quotes is going to do is basically it's going to encode quotes. Now HTML entities is going to turn like HTML tags into what's called entities. So it'll be a string representation of the tags, but it won't be the actual tags, so they're not going to run. Int quotes is basically going to be an option that tells it what it's going to do with single and double quotes. Okay, so we're going to set int quotes there. The last thing we're going to do is we're going to make sure that this is UTF-8. So in all caps, so you type inside quotes, you're going to type UTF-8. That way they can't get around any sort of security with other character sets. So we're going to force this to be a UTF-8. It's going to convert it to that. It's going to put it through int quotes, and it's going to put it through HTML entities. So if I go back now, and let's just do a D&D clean here, and let's see what happens if we do the same thing again with that script tag. Oops, hang on a second. We got to go back to the register.php. And what I'm going to do first is I'm going to run this through that sanitize function. So what we'll do here is we'll say dirty equals, and then what we're going to do here is say fname is equal to, we say fname is equal to sanitize dirty, and then we'll echo fname. So we're basically doing the same exact thing. We're just setting this first name equal to a variable called dirty. We didn't have to do that, but we're running it through our function we just created called dirty, and then we're going to echo what the result of that. So let's go ahead. Well, let me look back in the functions. Right now it's not going to actually return anything. We didn't do that yet, but it is going to dump and die right there. So let's see what happens now. Okay. So we did get a string back here, and let's just see what happens if we return that. Let's see if it still runs. Okay. So now you can see that it's actually, instead of it didn't pop up the window anymore. We're still echoing it out, but now it's treated as text and it won't actually run the script tags. Okay, so it is echoing that, but it's not actually firing off that window. So now they don't have access to run JavaScript in our page and steal cookies or anything like that. So that's a little bit more secure, and it allows us to sanitize. Now, if we've seen someone try to save something to our database like this, and we could see exactly what they were trying to put in, and if they were trying to put something in crazy like, you know, an iframe or trying to steal something, we could then go and ban them if we wanted, or something like that in our server, so that they can't visit the website. Now, that's not really useful, but just wanted to kind of show you how we could start to clean up some of this. And now if someone tries to put something in here, it won't break our site completely. It'll just encode this, okay? So that's what htmlentities does. Now let's do one more thing in the sanitize function here. And this is more for convenience, but basically people will copy and paste passwords a lot, and they'll accidentally have extra space at the beginning and end. That's one use case for this, but what we could do is we want to take away all empty space at the beginning and end of our input values, and we can use a function built into PHP called trim. So what we could do here is we could just wrap this return clean function in this trim. So now what's going to happen is it's going to run through our HTML entities and set the value of that entity to this clean value. And then this trim function is going to take away any empty spaces that it happens to be at the beginning and end of our input, and then it's going to return that value. So that's what this function will return. And then whatever we do with it here, right here we're echoing it, but anyhow, we're echoing it, but we're going to end up doing something else with it. We're going to put it in the database and things like that. But I'm just showing that for example to show you what this does. So now let's go and let's actually just put Curtis here, and you can see that it says Curtis. But let's put a space, a couple spaces, and put Curtis, and a couple spaces at the end, and hit register, and you can see that it didn't change. Now, if I didn't have this trim here, for example, maybe what we'll do here is let's echo dirty, and then we'll, in between these, we'll just echo a break tag like this, so we could see both of those. So I'm going to do a couple spaces and hit register. Well, the reason that the HTML doesn't care about blank spaces, so it's not going to show the blank spaces there, but if you were putting this in a database, those blank spaces would be there. So that was just a brain fart on my part, so it doesn't do me any good to try to demonstrate that. But if they were trying to put in a password that wasn't trimmed and they had extra space, their password would be wrong. Okay, so we are going to trim empty space off the beginning and end. So that is what that sanitize function does. But I want to make one more function while we're in this video to make it a little bit easier for us to deal with a bunch of inputs, so that we don't have to go through and sanitize every input. We want to be able to loop through everything in our post and sanitize it all. So let me show you how we could do that now. Now that we have this sanitize function, though, we could use it like that, or we can use it inside of another function, which is what we're going to do. And I'm just going to create a function called clean post, and we're going to use this to clean our entire post. So we'll go ahead and pass in post here. And then I'm going to set up an array, an empty array called clean, because what we're going to do is we're going to loop through everything in our posted array. Now remember the $_global post right here. Let's just go ahead and dd $_post. And I want to show you what we get here. So if I type in Curtis Parham, we'll just put in a couple things here, and I hit register. Whoops, I typed DD, sorry about that. I've been working in some Laravel here and there. So unfortunately, there we go. So now you can see this is actually our post, our $_post array. And what we're getting back is an array with 5 elements, and we have key value pairs. So we have first name, and then the value of that's Curtis, and then last name, and the value of that's Parham, and so on and so forth with each of our things. What we want to do is loop through this and sanitize each one of these and create a new array that's mapped just like this so we can use it, but we know that every element inside of there has been trimmed and run through HTML entities through our sanitize function. So in order to do that, it's super easy. In our functions here, you remember our for each loop that we can do. So I'm just going to say for each post as key value pair. So this key will be the name of our field and the value will be what they typed. So we want to sanitize this right here. So we're going to do a for each, and then what we're going to do is we're going to put it back into this clean empty array that we set up. And the way that we can do that is add it in by saying clean, and then inside of our params we want to just put in key as our key, and then we're going to say equals sanitize. We're going to run it through our sanitize function value. And then after this for each, we're just going to return clean. Now I know that's a little confusing if you're new here, but basically what's happening is we set up an empty array called clean. We passed in the potentially dirty array that came from the post that they posted. We looped through each element in that array and we stored it in this clean array after we sanitized it. So basically, let's go back to the register here now, and instead of dumping and die in post, let's dump and die clean post like that, and now we'll see what it is. So if I refresh now, it looks the same. Let's go ahead and, you know what? Let's go and type in a few things. And what I'm going to do is actually put a couple spaces on the password. I'm not going to do it on the confirm one. So now you can see inside of this password, it's just string right here, and you can see that our trim is working there. But let's go now and let's take away that clean post. And I just want to show you what it looks like if we don't do this. So if I hit refresh, it's going to ask me if I want to confirm the form resubmission, and I'll hit yes. And now look at this password. You see all that blank space before there? That's because I typed all those blank spaces. So this string with these white space before does not match this. So if they had copied and pasted an extra space, you know, from an email or something like that into their password field, this isn't going to work. But because we did the trim here in our dump and die, or our sanitize function, and we ran it through here, if we run that stuff through the clean post right here, where's my register.php, and if we, so what I'll do is let's just create a variable called post, and we'll know that this is clean because we're going to run this through clean post, and what we're passing into is $_post. Now what we're going to do is we'll never get anything else out of this post value because it could be compromised, it could be dirty. Instead, what we're going to do is just use the post variable here, and we know it's been cleaned because it went through this clean post. Okay, so now anywhere in our file after that, we're always going to use this post because it's been cleaned. Okay, so now if I refresh, resubmit, and because of our trim, now our passwords match, and all these values have been run through HTML entities, so there's not going to be any run-in JavaScript or anything like that on the page. So I know it's a little confusing. Just go back and watch it again if you didn't understand. I tried to do my best to go slow and point it out, but essentially all we did is we created a function called Sanitize. All Sanitize is doing is a wrapper function around HTML entities, which is a built-in PHP function that they give us to help us basically to help us stop HTML from being run from our form inputs. And then we passed a few options here to make it UTF-8 encoded and run it through int quotes. And you can look that up on php.net, look up HTML entities, and it'll explain the different options that are available to you here. And then the only other thing we did just is we trimmed that and returned that trimmed value of the HTML entities. Okay, then we created another function called clean post that loops through the posted any sort of data that we sent it, but we're sending it the post data. It loops through each key value pair of that and rebuilds a new array with the same keys, but makes sure the value has been run through the Sanitize function. And then it returns that, that clean post. In our register here, all we did was we checked if there's post. If there is, that means that they've submitted the form. And we've set a new variable up called post. We could have called this clean or whatever, but we ran it through our clean post function, so it loops through this $_post super global and rebuilds a new array of values that have been run through our trim function and through our HTML entities. And then just to look at what it does for now, we were just dumping and dying that. All right, so that's it for this video. I just wanted to kind of go over a few things with that. In the next video, what we're going to do is start form validation. So we're going to validate all of these fields that they've sent us to make sure that, for example, that these confirm password and the password fields match. And we'll do a few other things, but that is what we're going to do in the next video, and then we'll continue on after that. So I hope you guys are enjoying this. If you are, please comment, like, subscribe. Let me know what kind of storm in the comment section below. Let me know what kind of storms you're going through in your life and how you're choosing to overcome those storms by bettering yourself during those storms, spending every waking hour that you can making yourself better, whether that be learning to code and working out. I'm trying to work out more and eat healthy, things like that. So let me know how you're making yourself better. I know you're here watching these videos, so that's one thing, but I just want to encourage you guys, and I want you guys to encourage each other. So have a wonderful day, and I will see you guys in the next video.